Welcome to Inclusive Voices Media. This is Glendale City Council Candidate Series. Local elections matter because the decisions made at the City Council level directly impact everyday quality of life, from public safety and housing to business development to traffic to parks and, of course, community services. That's why it is so important to stay informed, to get involved, and most importantly, cast your vote. In the interest of keeping our audience informed, we wanted to bring you this very special candidate interview series featuring the people who want to serve on the City Council, on the Glendale City Council. And in the interest of fairness, of course, and equal treatment for all of the candidates, we followed the same protocol for every single interview. All candidates were invited and given the opportunity to select a time slot on the same interview day. Each interview was limited to 10 minutes. All interviews were conducted live to tape. That means we recorded the interviews continuously without stopping, without editing, without retakes, without do-overs. Additionally, every candidate was asked the exact same questions with some follow-ups, and no candidate received questions in advance. Our goal here at Inclusive Voices Media is to provide voters with a fair, transparent, and consistent platform so you can hear directly from the candidates and make an informed decision at the ballot box. Interviews are published one at a time and in alphabetical order. Thank you for watching. Please remember to vote. Hello, I'm Silva Harapetian. Welcome to our candidate series. Joining us today is Alek Bartrosouf. He's running for Glendale City Council. Thank you so much for joining us.
Of course, good to be here.
10 minutes is going to go by pretty quickly, so I'm going to get right to it.
Let's do it.
All right, so Glendale is under increasing pressure from the state of California to build more housing, while residents are concerned about traffic, neighborhood character, and also infrastructure impact. How would you balance the need for additional housing while preserving the quality of life in Glendale?
Great question, and it's top of mind for a lot of people here in Glendale. I'm an urban planner. I studied urban planning at UCLA. I've been a planning professional for over 10 years. So I know a little bit about land use, zoning, and housing issues. Here in Glendale, there is a concern about development and overdevelopment. As a planner, and specifically as a transportation planner, I'm very much interested in making sure that we are having new housing units and putting in new housing where you're least likely to get in your car, to run your errands, go to the grocery store, and potentially going to work. So I'd like to see more development in downtown Glendale, particularly near the Metrolink station in South Glendale, in the Tropico neighborhood, to kind of focus that development and new residential units where you're most able to get around without driving. So I think as a transportation planner, if we're talking about concerns about congestion, concerns about strain on our resources, our limited resources here in Glendale, we want to focus that development in places where it makes the most sense. So we need to strike a balance. We need to understand how state mandates affect our city, but also understanding that we do play a part in adding more housing per state laws and making sure that we're doing it responsibly and doing it in a smart way.
Thank you so much for that. I'm going to move on to the budget. Glendale is facing significant budget pressures and must make difficult decisions involving reserves, involving hiring freezes, and also different capital projects. What are your top spending priorities, and where would you reduce costs if revenues were to decline further?
Great question. I have on my website and my platform the idea of having a participatory budgeting process. Currently, for your viewers and for your awareness, our city budget sessions are during the day. People aren't able to listen to those sessions. There's very little feedback to City Council about how these very difficult decisions are being made. And what I'd like to see moving forward is making sure that the community is brought into those discussions and is able to chime in on and learn, where is the money coming from, where is the money going, how we can prioritize what we feel is right for our city, because that currently isn't happening. So I'm not here to declare very specific things that I think we can cut. I think that's a community decision that needs to be made out in the open in a transparent way. To also address this concern about government not being transparent enough. So I want to bring people in. I do think that as it relates to priorities, police and fire has always been a top priority. Public safety is, people are very satisfied and happy with the quality of public safety that we provide to our residents. It's the reason why we're one of the safest cities in the entire nation, is that we invest in our public safety and the people behind putting in all that work. So I will continue to prioritize that. It's something that I want to maintain, if not expand. But we need to have those honest discussions about where we can find cost savings. I know the city is looking at 5% reduction across the board at all departments. I think that's a good first step. But we are running into a structural deficit for the coming years, and we need to make very difficult decisions about how we're going to make those priorities possible with our constrained budget. And I want to make sure people are involved in that conversation, and we're having a community discussion around what those reductions are going to look like. And if we're not reducing our workforce and our programs and services that we're offering, how we're going to increase revenue to make sure that we're maintaining those services that people are expecting from a premier city.
Thank you for that. We're going to talk about mobility next. This is right up your alley too, I think, as an urban planner. Glendale is facing congestion and pedestrian safety concerns and pressures to modernize transportation infrastructure right here in Glendale. There is the bus rapid transit lane that's coming to Glendale. What is your approach to improving mobility for drivers, bicyclists, pedestrians, and also considering the needs of the local businesses? And I'll have a follow-up question to that.
Yeah, so as a transportation planner, I know all too well the safety issues of the city of Glendale. I've served now 2 terms on the Transportation and Parking Commission for the city of Glendale. I was around when the pedestrian master plan was developed a few years ago. And many people don't know this, but of cities our size in the state of California, we rank the worst when it comes to collisions involving elderly pedestrians. So that may not be a surprise to many people. We have a reputation here. I think there are, high impact, low cost ways that we can address the pedestrian safety problem in Glendale. We have the tools at our disposal. We have the grant funding and the ability to draw in funds from state and county and metro to make those improvements here in Glendale. But I will say, as a city of 200,000 people, we're now the 4th largest city in the county. We owe it to ourselves to have a diverse set of options for people to get around. That includes walking, biking, taking transit, and for people to drive, obviously, as well. So we need to have a diverse set of options for people to get around so that people don't feel like the only safe option that they have is to drive, which obviously contributes to congestion. And as we see an increase in population in the city of Glendale, that's inevitable. We do need to think about those other options for people to get around, to not get in their car and take up another parking spot at Trader Joe's when somebody further away could really use that spot.
As a follow-up question to that, how do you balance and prioritize all of these different people and different ways of getting there, right? So who gets top consideration when planning is happening and when decisions are being made?
I mean, I think a community discussion kind of drives that and drives us to that answer. Obviously, we need a balance. So, that sounds vague, but it is context specific, context sensitive, and it depends on which corridor we're talking about. For example, if we're talking about safety issues, or even among a neighborhood, we may want to prioritize pedestrian-oriented amenities when we're talking about downtown Glendale, for example. Or if we're in the canyons, we may want to prioritize vehicular access and emergency evacuation protocols. So I think it's context specific. I can't speak in general terms, but I do want to say that there is an overarching theme and has been confirmed through community surveys that safety is a top priority for many Glendale residents. And I think as we look at solutions that cross all sorts of diverse options for people, we can always address and improve on our safety record here in Glendale.
We have a little bit more time. Is there any of the questions you want to go back to and add anything to it?
Not answer questions, but I will just take the opportunity to just say that I'm very excited to run for city council. There's a lot of issues that we need to address as a city and as a council. And I want to make sure that we are transparent and open and working with the community to make sure we're addressing their needs. So happy to do that and happy to connect with folks to talk through their priorities as well.
Thank you very much. I was going to give you an opportunity. Tell our viewers and listeners where they can find information about you and your campaign.
Yes, my name is Alek Bartrosouf, and you can find more information about me on my website or on socials. It's alekforglendale.com.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all for watching. We'll see you next time.